So the Democratic talking heads are at it again. Now, recently Ice Cube put forth a plan that he had to increase wealth in the African American community, and his plan is called the Contract with Black America. Now, you can look at you know you can look it up for yourself, the details of the plan, but basically, he wants to help black people to own property and start businesses and basically create wealth and like create generational wealth and to help close the wealth gap between the African American communities and white communities as well as other communities who tend to have more wealth. I believe pretty much all other groups of people have more wealth than African Americans, except for the Latino community. I believe the Latino community is on par with the African American community as far as like house ownership and business ownership and things of that nature. But I digress. So he wants to do this, and he reaches out to both campaigns, the Trump campaign and the Biden campaign. The Biden campaign says, hey, we like what you're doing, but we'd like to talk after the election. The Trump campaign said, hey, we like what you're doing, we'd like to sit down with you. So, of course, he wants to advance his agenda for the black community. And, sorry for the background noise, knocking something over. He wants to advance his agenda for the black community in any way possible. And somehow people have a problem with that. So, he got a lot of backlash. Oh, why are you working with Trump? Oh, you're part of the Trump campaign. And you'll see in this segment I'm about to show you from CNN, he said, I never met Donald Trump. I'm not part of anyone's campaign. I just want my agenda to be heard, and whoever's in power, we would like to work with them to get this agenda moving forward. Somehow that bothers your neoliberal corporatist Democrats and run-of-the-mill Democrats, and it also bothers the talking heads from the media who support the neoliberal corporatists. So let's take a listen to what Ice Cube has to say and just listen to how he perfectly breaks down everything that is wrong in this country and why things won't change for most demographics regardless of who's elected as the president of the United States. So just listen.
I've never met Donald Trump. So I don't know what he's going to do. I just know what he said he was going to do. So both of them have a plan. Both of them say they're going to do something. And who knows what's really going to happen after November 3rd. Nobody knows from each side. We're all hoping that candidates keep their campaign promises. So that's just it.
So let's look at it this way. I think that you're right to be skeptical. Let's start with the Democrats, because even though there is a traditional connection between black voters and the Democrats, you could also say you've been let down or forgotten by Democrats in a lot of situations that would have mattered. Then you say, all right, so then what makes one side better than the other? That's where you get in trouble, which is, do you really think that Donald Trump can be trusted as much as you could trust Joe Biden?
I don't think I'm not trusting any of them. I'm just going by action. That's all I'm going by. I'm not going by words. I'm not going by rhetoric, not going by media spin, not going by none of that. I'm not on nobody's team. I'm not on Team Blue, not on Team Red.
So then I have that wrong.
I'm an independent person, and I believe that's what black people need to do is become independent, and we need to get something for our vote. That may not happen, but it's going to happen.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Look, if I had brought you here to fight with you, you would have known it. What I'm saying is, I think I did get it wrong, and I want to make sure I get it right. So saying you're working with the Trump team is wrong. What you did was, when they asked to talk to you about it, you said yes. If Biden had asked to talk to you about it now, you would have gone to them the same way. It's not about you choosing anything. It's you working with everybody who's got a chance of doing anything.
I'm working with whoever's in power. Yeah, I'll work with both. Whoever's in power, I'm going to work with. So whoever wins, they'll hear from me.
Okay, so I'm glad you came to clear it up. So Ice Cube is not with the Trump campaign. He's just giving his ideas, and anybody who wants to do something with them, fine. Do you believe they are doing anything with your ideas?
I believe, they looked at the contract with Black America and they updated their plan, but it's their plan. I have my plan. My plan is broad. It goes beyond the public sector. It goes into the private sector, banks, even the movie industry. So we got to deal with a lot of different, I think, companies, corporations, and even government when it comes to solving this problem. I believe it's a bipartisan problem. I believe it's a bipartisan problem when it comes to the issues, when it comes to blacks in America and what's going on. It's not a Democrat problem. It's not for them to solve. It's not for the Republicans to solve. It's for both of them to solve. They do it when it comes to debt ceiling. They do it when it comes to getting us in wars. They seem to come together when it's something that really affects America. And I don't think nothing affects America more than the situation that Black Americans find ourselves in. This country is coming apart at the seams, and it's not going to come together after January 3rd, no matter who's the president, unless we deal with this wealth gap.
He said nothing in this country is going to change, that America's fabric is ripping at the seams and nothing's going to change regardless of who's elected unless we start dealing with this wealth gap and these problems and issues. I could not have said it more perfectly myself. See, Chris Cummo, oh my God. Chris Cummo just comes off as so smug. Like, ridiculously smug and, elitist. Like, oh, I understand the black community has desperation and problems and issues. And this is so unfortunate. But, let me ask you this. Isn't Biden still better than Trump? He's better than Trump, right? Biden's better than Trump? Like, Chris Cuomo's literally doing what Trump does with Obama. Like, when Trump's always like, oh yeah, well, Obama did terrible with this and I did good. Like you get points for being better than Obama, right? I'm better than Obama, right? And, they make fun of him because they're like, oh, he just wants to outdo Obama. You're literally doing the exact same thing. Can somebody tell Chris Cummo and CNN that you do not get a pass for being better than literally probably the second worst president in the United States history after George W. Bush? You don't get credit for that. No credit. None. No credit. None. You do not get credit for being better than the worst president arguably the worst president in modern history. You don't get credit for that. Okay? You don't. Now, back to Ice Cube. This man wants to bring change in the black community. Like, and whoever will listen to him and whoever's in power, he wants to talk to them so that he can bring about the change that he wants. Everybody always talks about, oh, how there's such a divide and we need bipartisanship and Trump is dividing things and we need bipartisanship. Somebody tries to do something bipartisan and you're criticizing them for literally trying to be bipartisan. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if you watch the rest of the interview, he continues to press him on, Trump's record with police brutality and how Trump feels about this and, how, and trying to basically say Biden is better. As if Ice Cube said that he's voting for Trump and he's campaigning for Trump. And Chris Cummo is I cannot stand Chris Cummo. He's so smug. He said, there's a point where he says, don't you feel that you can trust Joe Biden more than Donald Trump? Like, saying they're all the same is a problem. They literally are the same. Okay? They literally are the same. They're not going to do much once they get in office. They talk a big game, and then they don't do what they said they're going to do, and then they ask to be reelected again in 4 years and take public funds so that they can, retire and live a good life. Meanwhile, nothing changes for the average American. This has happened with every single president. It happened with Ronald Reagan. It happened with Clinton. It happened with Bush. It happened with Obama. And now it's happening with Trump. And it's going to happen with whoever wins this next election. So these politicians don't keep their promises. And it does not matter what side of the aisle they're on. You cannot trust Joe Biden, I would argue, any more than you can trust Donald Trump. They're both politicians who lie and who do whatever they can for their rich friends and don't do anything for the average American. So, Chris, cut it out, Chris. Cut it out. Quit trying to act like Biden is so much better than Trump. Because he's really not. He might be a little bit better than Trump on the policy end. But it's nothing overwhelming that's going to really change the country and make things better. Come on, man. Just, Chris, stop it. Stop, Chris. Chris Cummo, you got to stop, man. Now, listen. If Biden actually does what's on his platform, which is make public universities free, add a public option to Obamacare, eliminating $10,000 of student debt for every American who's got student debt. If he actually does these things and, promote some climate change, if he actually does these things and does everything that's on his platform, I will literally make a 20-minute video apologizing for everything that I've said. Everything. But what we see with Trump and what we also see with Obama is they say they're going to do these things and then they just have to them. They do half measures that are not enough. And then what happens is they lose the election, they win their election, They do these half measures. And then once their time in office is up, the other party comes and pretty much undoes the half measures that they've done. So we're back to square one. And, it continues in this vicious cycle over and over and over again. We've seen this time and time again. And, guys, we got to do better. We got to do better. Got to demand more of our leaders. And that's what Ice Cube is trying to do. And these neoliberal talking heads are out here criticizing him. And by the way, they weren't even going to let him on CNN to explain himself. They asked him, and then they canceled the segment. And I don't know why they canceled the segment, but, and he's like, they canceled my segment. They don't even want to give me a chance to talk. And, this is ridiculous. Now, I guess after the public outcry and everyone getting upset, they're like, we got to fit Ice Cube in. So, they put him on last night. So, yeah, it's ridiculous, guys. And look, for all of you guys who say, hey, Biden is a lesser evil, we should vote for Biden, we should support Biden because of that, and Trump is just so bad, we need to get rid of him, I can respect that. But for people who try to act like Biden is just like the savior of America and that he's such a great guy and Trump is so terrible, and just stop. That's unrealistic. It's not true. It's unequivocally false. Just please stop. Please stop. And for the love of God, stop criticizing black people who actually want to do something better for their community. You could criticize, you cannot criticize him for wanting to approach the people in power and actually demanding them to do what they said they were going to do. Trump said he's going to do stuff for a black American, for the black community, for the African American community. Call his bluff. That's what Ice Cube is doing. He's calling his bluff. He said, okay, you're going to do it? Well, this is the things we want. That's literally what you're supposed to do with your politicians. So, next time you need to boost your ratings, Chris, don't do it this way. Please don't. Because this is ridiculous. And quite frankly, I think that to take a guy like Ice Cube, who's been doing things for the African American community for years, trying to paint a picture like he's pro-Trump and that he's a sellout, I think it's disgusting. And, the thing these networks will do for ratings, man, just goes to show you that they're on their way out.